Hi everyone, there are two types of dividend strategies that expert investors deploy in the market. Let me quickly give you live examples of both the strategies. Strategy number one is high dividend yields, extremely high dividend yields, and the stock prices does not move. Point in case, have a look at my screen, you will see Hindustan Zinc Limited. In the last 5 years, the stock price has only appreciated by roughly 3.8%. But if you look at the dividend yield of this stock, it is close to 25%. Meaning last year, if you bought 1 lakh rupees of shares of Hindustan Zinc Limited, you would have got 25,000 rupees of dividend amount back into your account. Now just imagine every year if you're getting 25,000 rupees of dividend back into your account, you are earning 25% of passive income on your 1 lakh rupees investment. But the catch here is that your 1 lakh rupees will still remain 1 lakh rupees, more or less. 3% growth rate in 5 years is close to none, right? So this is strategy number one. How to find such stocks if you're interested to earn passive income. I'm going to cover all of that in this video. Strategy number two is you find such stocks that are going to give you reasonable dividend. For example, 3 to 6% every year, but the stock price also appreciates over the period of time. Point in case again, HCL Technologies, have a look at my screen. In the last 5 years, the stock has appreciated by almost 150%. But if you look at the dividend yield of this stock right now, it is close to 4%. Meaning last year, if you invested 1 lakh rupees, you would have got roughly 4,000 rupees back as dividend in your account. Not too bad. And also at the same time, your 1 lakh rupees would have appreciated by 150% almost in the 5 years. Now there is something common in both these strategies and something very, very different. In this video, we are going to find out the best stocks in both the categories and you can decide which stocks to invest in as per your individual requirements. With that, let's get this video started. What you see on my screen is list of more than 4,000 stocks listed on NSE, and our job is to find out the stocks that have given really great dividends in the past. But past is not the indicator of future. We also need to look at the quality of the stocks so that if we select the quality stocks, the chances of them giving dividends in the future is going to be extremely high. So for that, the first thing what we want to do is add a filter called dividend yields. Dividend yield is simply dividend per share divided by the close price of the share. So let us go ahead and add that filter here, and I'll be happy to only consider those stocks that have given at least 3% dividend in the last financial year. For that, I'm going to put 3% here simply and just press enter. We are going to get roughly 150 stocks here that have given at least 3% dividend in the last financial year. But just last financial year is not sufficient. What we really also need to make sure is that in the last 3 years, how the dividend growth has happened in the companies. How much the dividend has grown every year with some good positive indications, right? For that, what we are going to do is we are going to add another parameter called dividend growth. So let us go ahead and add dividend growth here. So we are going to select dividend 3-year historical dividend growth, which is compounded annual growth rate in the dividend in the last 3 years. So let us go ahead and add that in here. We are not going to filter out any stocks based on the dividend growth just yet. I would like to use this information towards the end of this video. So let us just add it here for now. Let us now check the quality of these stocks because we should only invest our hard-earned money into the quality stocks. For that, first thing I'm going to do is going to only select those companies that have got market capitalization of more than 20,000 crores because I do not want to invest in any Lala company and lose my money. So for that, what I'm going to do first is apply the 20,000 criteria here. So 20,000 or more is what I'm interested in. The second thing I want to check is the revenue growth in these companies, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is add 5-year historical revenue growth. So I want to make sure that at least the company has given me minimum 5% revenue growth in the last 5 years. So let us go ahead and put that here. So we go ahead and put 5% annual revenue growth here in the last 5 years. That gives us total 21 companies. So now at least we have made sure that these companies are good in size, decent in the size, and also their sales or the revenues have been increasing in the last 5 years at least by minimum 5%. The next thing I want to check around quality is how much of net profit margin these companies are making. So let us go ahead and add that. So for that, what we are going to do is add net profit margin here. So I'm going to select 5-year average net profit margin. And I'm very conscious that some of the good dividend paying companies are PSU sectors and their margins are not great. I'm going to consider only 5-year average net profit margin to be minimum 5%. So let us go ahead and put that here, 5%. We get 18 companies. I also want to check the last year's net profit margin to make sure that in the last 1 year, company is not performing well, then I do not want to invest my money in that. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to select net profit margin for the last financial year. Let us go ahead and add that. And again, I want minimum 5% net profit margin to make sure at least their profits are increasing every single year, right? Now, the last parameter that I want to include around the quality check is return on capital employed, extremely important parameter, especially in the capital intensive sector. So let us go ahead and add that in here. So we are going to add ROCE, right? Return on capital employed. So let us go ahead and add that. So if we add that, I want to only select those companies that have given minimum 10% ROCE, right? For that, let us go ahead and add that here. So we want to select only those companies which have given 10% ROE. So that brings us to 12 stocks. Now these 12 stocks are quality stocks because their revenues have grown in the last 5 years at least by 5%. Their net profit margins have gone up by at least 5%. And also the return on capital employed is minimum 10%, which is again great signs that these companies are healthy because they are growing. Now comes the most interesting part of this video, which is in the beginning, if you remember, I talked about two dividend strategies. Strategy number one was extremely high dividend and you forget about the stock price. Stock price is not going to appreciate. And strategy number two was that you get reasonable dividend, but you also get the stock price appreciation over a long period of time. What we need to do is divide these 12 stocks into both these categories and understand the nuances of both the categories. Very, very extremely important point now. So please pay attention. So for that, what we are going to do first is I'm going to go back to the dividend yield and put a filter to find the first category. So let us go ahead and put a dividend yield of minimum 6%, right? Let us put 6% here and see the magic. What you see here on my screen is these 5 companies. Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, Coal India Limited, Hindustan Zinc Limited, Vedanta Limited, NMDC Limited. These are not the stock recommendations, but what I am trying to show you is the dividend yield. Let us have a look at it. Let us sort this list by dividend yield and you will see that Vedanta Limited last year gave 36% dividend, right? Look at Hindustan Zinc gave almost 25% dividend, Coal India 14%, 15%, NMDC 8% and Oil and Natural Gas Corporation 7%. But we also need to have a look at the CAGR of their stock price appreciation. So let me quickly add that filter in here. So let us go ahead and add by how much the stock price have also appreciated. Let's go ahead and add that here and you will see that if you look at Vedanta, in the last 5 years, CAGR has been 5%, the best in these 5. But if you look at other stocks, likes of Coal India, their price have gone down. So people have lost their capital while getting dividend back. So the point that I'm trying to drive here is that when you're going for extremely high dividend companies, there is a chance that you might lose your capital. It might not appreciate. You might in fact lose your capital. So just be very cautious about it. The second thing that I want to show you is have a look at Vedanta's price movement in the last few years. So this is, I don't know, 23 years data, and you will see that these companies typically are very cyclic in nature, right? Have a look at this here, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? The stock price have not massively grown like this. It has been very cyclic in the nature. And the best strategies to invest in these companies is to buy the stock at a low price. You will see this cycle coming up invariably. So please be patient. Do not invest in these companies at a very high price, because let us say you buy the share at here, let us say 71 rupees. The 71 rupees of share is now going to give you 25 rupees of dividend next year potentially. And if you buy the share at, let us say, 400 rupees or 425 rupees, then what you are going to get is the same dividend, 25 rupees on the 425. Your dividend yield will be very, very, very low. So when you are investing in companies such as Vedanta, Hindustan Zinc, Coal India, NMDC, all these companies, please wait for the stock cyclicity and only pick those stocks which are trading at a very, very low value, right? Secondly, the second important question you need to ask is that out of these companies, which companies have long future, right? Coal India, do you think coal has a future in energy? Let me know in the comments, because 20 years down the line, is Coal India going to exist is the question you need to ask. Because in such companies, if you are putting your money, no doubt you are going to get high dividend, very high dividend, but you might lose your capital. Also, there is a danger that the company might shut down. So you need to make sure that you are putting this money for long term, then only you can recover your money back in the form of dividends. And these company investments are suitable for people who want passive income, mainly people who have got retirement done and they want some passive income coming. They are not worried about capital appreciation at all. They invest the money once at a very low price and then forget about it. They are not worried about the capital appreciation. They just want the dividend coming every single year to them. Let us move to dividend strategy number 2, where the companies have been giving reasonable dividends, but also at the same time, the stock prices have been appreciating, giving you the best of the both worlds. For that, what we are going to do is simply change the dividend yield percentage criteria. We're going to look at those companies that have been giving minimum 3 to 6% of dividends. So let us go ahead and put that here. 3 to 6%. That gives you 7 stocks. Now these 7 stocks are quality stocks. They are fundamentally strong. They have been growing revenues, net profit margins, return on capital employed, exactly the same parameters. Now if you look at the dividend yield column here, you will see that the dividend is roughly 6% in cases of Power Grid Corporation of India. And if you look at the Power Grid Corporation of India's stock prices, let's have a look at that. You will see that here, if you look at the long term, they are not very cyclic in nature. The stock prices have consistently grown up. So you are not only getting 6% of dividend yield here, but also you are getting the capital appreciation in your stock prices. If you come back here, other than dividend yield, the second thing that you also need to consider is historical dividend growth. Extremely important, because there could be that one odd year where the company has given dividend and the dividend yield looks really nice, really good. But have a look at here, last 3 years historical dividend growth. All these companies, 7 companies, are known to give dividends. You might have heard about ITC giving dividends. You might have heard about Tata Consultancy Services giving dividend. You might have heard about NTPC. You might have heard about HCL Technologies. Have a look at HCL Technologies here. If you look at the long-term performance of this stock, again, the stock prices have appreciated to a great extent and the dividend yield still looks reasonable, 4.20% right now. So all in all, if you want to invest in those companies which gives you reasonable dividend every year, but you also want to enjoy the capital appreciation, then you can look at these 7 companies. Ask yourself or do some research around, have these companies have got future for the next 5 years, 8 years, 10 years or not? And secondly, are they fundamentally strong enough to give you dividends? From my analysis, I can see that these 7 companies are quality stocks. In fact, I've created videos around ITC, TCS and other companies, whether you need to invest in these companies to get reasonable dividends and a stock price appreciation over a long term, or you want to go back with the dividend strategy number 1, where I talked about extremely high dividend, but you forget about your capital. Let me know in the comments if you hold any of the dividend stocks, or also if you recommend any dividend stocks that are not in my list. I would like to know which stocks you are holding from a dividend perspective. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and follow me for upcoming videos. I will see you in my next video. Keep rocking.